Many decades later, Monroe would admit to covering her nude body every night with little splashes of Chanel No. 5, surely without knowing that her skin was being perfumed by this Amazonian essence. Thus, a simple tropical tree gave glamour to the goddess of the movie screen. Monroe would still have been beautiful without pau rosa, but thanks to its discovery, her legend grew like the Amazon does during the rainy season. From a queen to Victoria Regia. That is how Richard Schomburgk, an English botanist, named the largest water lily on the planet 160 years ago. He honored his queen and dishonored the native people, who had already named the plant many centuries before. Recently, they not only steal the names of the Amazonian plants, but also the space for them to grow and survive. In 1999, Amazonia lost 1,700,000 hectares, an area larger than the U.S. state of Hawaii and similar to that of Navarre and the Spanish Basque Country together. When faced with flames, the charming forest cedes the scarred terrain to more profitable plants. The state of Mato Grosso should be renamed, since it is quickly losing the dense forest that gave it its name. Each year, it looks more like the vast plain of La Mancha in Spain than a tropical forest region. Agriculture is its assassin. It exhausts its fertile land very quickly, just as the gentlemen of the soybean industry have planned. On these plains, maybe the hardest and least known battle is being fought by those interested in defending the Amazon region. The Brazilian government disguises this dilemma as an ambiguous form of protection to justify development. Rainforest or soybeans, it's that simple. Today, Brazil is second only to the USA as the world's leading producer of this plant, which feeds our pigs and chickens and seasons our exotic dishes. Some birds found only in Brazil, such as the emu, are also attracted by this green revolution, but they do not have a rainforest to hide or reproduce in. During the 1960s, 432,000 hectares of soybeans were cultivated in Brazil, and today, 13 million. This plant, of Chinese origin, has taken over this virgin territory. The states of the Amazon, Rondônia, Acre, Roraima, Maranhão, and Tocantins, are changing their appearance in order to secure agricultural wealth, which has no territorial limits at the moment, but many interested international parties. In Mato Grosso and Rondônia alone, the World Bank has invested $469 million. The big plantations also produce enormous profits for the owners, but very few jobs. This single crop agriculture is mechanized, and the average number of workers is only 2 per hectare. The devastated land of the rainforest is very poor, and it has to be excessively stimulated with chemicals in order to produce at the rate of market demand. Thus, in the opinion of many experts, within a few decades, it won't be difficult to apply the axiom that our species pursues: soy today, hunger tomorrow. These beans will travel from the interior of Brazil to the ports of Osaka, Liverpool, Rotterdam, and Hamburg. The company Maggi, the king of soy, is responsible. It is the largest soy producer in the world. This family clan from Italy bought its first estate here in 1979, and today it controls the agriculture of several Brazilian states, as well as an annual turnover of millions and millions of dollars. This year, they have exported 1.1 million tons of soy, and its financial group is made up of 13 companies. After hard negotiations, we were able to interview one of the founder's sons, as well as to give him an opportunity to defend the company against the ecological accusations. He didn't waste his time. The best defense is a good offense. Judge for yourselves.
I assure you that we cannot give in. Brazil cannot abandon its estates, plains, forests, the places where high production is possible. Abandon it in the name of conservation? Preserve nature for what? In Europe and the United States, in the more developed countries, everything has already been done. There are no forest reserves, their rivers are not completely navigable, and they want to step on the rights of Brazil, the rights of the Mato Grosso, the rights of our citizens. And they want to use our natural potential exclusively for preservation. Well, we think this is a way to pressure Brazil, so we won't create the necessary infrastructures, and so we won't be competitive on the international market. Because this way, if we were competitive, and the world consumes more food than what is produced at this time, prices will drop, and the European and American governments will have to raise their taxes. Therefore, without a doubt, this whole ecological movement, the ecologists, is on their payroll.
Kaiowás is also the city that is home to Senator Vicente Vuolo, an old friend of the Maggis, their unshakable associate and the father of the railroad. After 30 years of political struggle, this railway fanatic, as you can see throughout his stylishly decorated office, has managed to build more than 5,000 kilometers of train tracks, which will transport 10 million tons of soy a year beginning in 2003. This infrastructure is unlike any other in the world. Paid for exclusively by the agribusiness companies, Brazil hopes to use it to triple the economic benefits, but also the environmental effects of the country's large-scale farming. Will the spirit of the rubber plantations return to Brazil? Now, in the senator's opinion, it's time to dream about a new version of the El Dorado myth.
A new century has begun in Mato Grosso, the century of the train. We were living in the century of rubber, of precious stones. We had the foundations of progress and development. But now progress is waiting for us in the next century, with large-scale production, which we are going to have in every city and in every state. Mato Grosso is going to change completely. We are going to change Brazil to a granary state. I have absolutely no doubt about it.
The Guarani Kaiowá Indians are crying for their dead on the last stretch of land that they have. They do not have anything to celebrate about. Pitiful and humiliated, they only pay tribute to their dead. It's not their first funeral. The splendor of El Dorado, coveted by white men, is as dark as death to them. From this village, the euphoria of Senator Wolo seems pathetic to us. We are in Panambizinho, the land of suicide. According to the Constitution, the Kaiowás are Brazilians with full rights, but when our cameras visited their settlement, 308 people had committed suicide within the last 13 years, since it is impossible to continue living here. These are the graves of the last 3 Indians who took their lives 1 week ago. For Elaine at 13, Luis at 16, and Mauricio at 19, the soy business was the curse that took them to the grave. Even this small sacred area where their dead are buried is threatened by the farming machines.